Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Today I'm joined by two of the greats, two of the trivia kings of Raid Shadow Legends. Nubs, how you doing?
I'm good. Hopefully there won't be any general knowledge questions here today. But
And we've also got YST in the house. YST, how are you, man?
How's it going? Just trying to recover from all this faction wars shenanigans.
Yes. Well, you might think, oh, Faction Wars Hard is up on the screen. That's what we're going to talk about today. Loosely it is, but actually we're going to be talking about some of the crazy additional tools these two fellas have been working on HH Gaming to make your lives easier with Raid Shadow Legends. So I guess let's kick off with the big one, which is this hard Faction Wars. So, and let's be honest, guys, like you two have run all of the levels on the test server, painstakingly trying to do a guide for every single level. I guess firstly, like, how did you find it as a piece of content?
Go on, Nubs, you can start.
yeah, sure, I'll start. I mean, I found it a lot of fun. I found it a big challenge. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a huge. I think it's like Curse City in a sense, where it starts off relatively easy. At least for my account, it was pretty easy on the lower stages, and it's like the challenge is not killing the waves before I land 15 stuns or whatever. And then stages like 20, 21 are incredibly difficult. Yeah, no, it's good. I think the only big issue I have with it is number one, the advanced quest for beating a boss. That's quite annoying, and the purple boss. Let us know in the comments if you guys enjoy fighting the purple boss. That thing is, it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah, and what do you think, YST? So obviously, so far I've only really played the lower levels and the very end level in terms of so lower levels on my main account, having fun. End level, just when I was on the test server, like seeing if I could get it done.
For me personally, like I'm like a massive fan of PvE content, and I wasn't actually drawn into the Cursed City as much, honestly. But weirdly, with the Faction Wars Hard, I really enjoyed it. Like as a, like using different champions, different builds. I think obviously the problem for me is more the silver issue in the game. Being able to try different builds and stuff for all the different stages in the game, honestly.
Yeah.
So, but as a whole, I think I really enjoyed going through all the stages.
Yeah, totally echo what you're saying on the silver thing, because I'm finding I'm equipping champs I've not equipped in either a very long time or ever, and leveling them out and stuff. But I'm also I'm trying now to throw on gear that's just available, but that's fine, up until maybe the end of the first boss, creeping into the second boss. But honestly, after that, when you get to the final stages, you're basically needing your best gear on your team to be able to get it done. So anyway, let's talk tools. Let's talk about some of the cool stuff you guys have been doing. So on hellhades.com, we have got a bunch of new stuff. I guess the first one we're going to call out, which is the big one here on Faction Wars. And to navigate to this, guys, you can either just kind of like hover over Raid, click into a faction, or if you want to see like the where am I? On the homepage, you can just scroll down into the Raid Shadow Legends section and just come down into our kind of like new main raid page with some new cool stuff, by the way, like latest guides that have gone up. But yeah, you can come down here to like a Faction Wars area and get a full guide. So I just talk us through some of the things that we're seeing here. Maybe Nubs, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. So I wrote these bits at the start. It's kind of a fun little thing, just a little blurb about each different faction. And I'm going to be like updating these and tweaking them as well. Like every day with Faction Wars Hard, I'll revise as well each faction as we go, just to make them even better. But yeah, it's like a general vibe for what the faction is about. Like Demon Spawn, they've got quite a lot of damage, lots of HP burn, just giving people a flavor. Then some insights into how the faction does for normal and hard. Strengths and weaknesses of the faction as well. So sort of bullet points summing up what's good about the faction, what you might struggle with. The MVP section is sort of most iconic champions. This one is a bit unusual that it's all legendaries usually, and there's a mythical as well. Usually we try to put a fairly large focus on epics. So yeah, like there's sort of some key champions for players to watch out for.
Yeah, I guess so. This one, why it's unusual is you've actually got two that eventually you can earn for free.
Yeah.
I did watch your free-to-play video, by the way, which was enlightening, Nubs, in terms of what is a free-to-play player. It was a good one. It was a cracker. And then obviously Helicaf is a fusion, which a lot of people would have had, so it makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Okay, and then we get to the kind of, I guess, tier list stuff that you guys have done. So yeah, Wise T, do you want to talk us through what's going on here?
Yes, so basically, initially, what me and Nubs were doing was rating every single champion in the game for them as a champion. That was like the kind of first pass. And then after kind of thinking about it, we thought it'd be a lot more better to have it rated on the roles that they're bringing, being like, as we see, damage, offensive support, defensive support, and control.
Cool.
What we're going to be seeing... Go on.
What would you class as offensive support and defensive support? Talk us through what that means.
Offensive support is, for example, like increase attack or, like decrease defense, weaken, these kind of everything that's like offensive, if that makes sense. And then defensive will be like ally protection, increase defense, strengthens, all the kind of usual things to protect your team. And then control is, provoke, block active skills, true fears, and all of the control effects pretty much. And just how good they are at those roles. But what we're seeing visually here is basically their primary role. And then down the line, we're also going to have hopefully like a hover over the character, and you will see their secondary and third roles as well, which are done.
Oh, okay, nice.
It's just not visually right now.
And you can go from any of these and just click in and go to their actual...
Yeah, and then on the actual champion page, we will have the ratings if we scroll down. Currently, it says like it's the old Faction Wars template, but it will be all the ratings for what we did for the tier list will be in that section.
Okay, so that'll be going to be updated. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. The idea there is, like the original Faction War ratings, they're years old at this point, and there's just a lot more buffs and debuffs in the game and effects that didn't exist back then. So I was trying to do a general update, and the idea was we just split things into these 4 really broad roles of champs who do damage, champs that make you do more damage, champs that keep you alive, and then champs that basically stop enemy teams doing stuff.
Yeah, and interestingly, like the control element is a big part of the different like missions that you've got. But also, it's almost like essential for hard Faction Wars to just crowd control the enemy basically non-stop is what I'm finding.
I think another thing that's probably worth noting while we're here as well is for anyone thinking, how did we kind of separate them into these categories? Because we don't usually have SSS on the website. It's usually on a star basis, right? So pretty much it's for SS tier is champions that's rated a 5 for that role. The S tier is 4 to 4.5, so just very, very good. The A tier is 3 to 3.5 that we're used to seeing on normal ratings in the website. B is 2.5 to 2, and then C is anything below 2. So that's basically the way we've categorized. Yeah.
We're not seeing all of the champions in this faction on this tier list, though, are we? I guess to some just not really feature.
I thought it wasn't as well, but when I was actually going through the factions, it is. It just looks less. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, this was part of the idea as well. Was we couldn't really do a visual sort of tier list like this for all the champs in the game because there's almost 1,000 at this point.
Definitely. Yeah, it's mad.
But when you break it down per faction, it actually works fairly well.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's really good. Yeah. Awesome. So and then the big piece of work that you guys have done, which by the way, anyone who's watching, this is like an insanely deep piece of work. So we've got the usual stage info, which if anyone knows about the raid stages tool, you can go into any content in the game and get the information around what you're going to fight, which is really beneficial when you're trying to understand. Generally I use it for how fast are the enemies that I'm fighting, how much accuracy do I need to be able to overcome their resistance, and basically are they going to absolutely KO me in one shot? Like that's pretty much what I'm looking for on a high level. But when we start to go to hard faction wars, and then select a stage, let's say we want to find stage 7 of Demon Spawn.
So that's the boss.
Yeah, boss stage. So again, we still get all of the information around what we're up against. So the first boss has got 250 speed. You would need your champs to have around 350 accuracy to be able to land your debuffs and stuff. So this is all the stages tool info, but then you've also done by stage basically how you achieved it, right? So
yeah, I think if we just do like an actual a stage with actual waves, maybe there we go. So it's kind of like I guess introduction guide of what our experience was, things to watch out for on the waves, and the team that we managed to use to beat it was the idea. And but it was it was crazy, man. Like just getting flashbacks.
Yeah, there's still more coming. Like one thing I'm going to be doing, because obviously I'm doing like this ridiculous endeavor of doing videos for every Faction Wars hard stage, but I'm going to be inputting the teams I use, and then like just a short little line on like why I use them for that 3-star condition.
Sure.
And was it easy? Was it difficult? That sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, and it should be hopefully fun then, because you can by the time this is fully filled out by us in a few weeks, well, I guess it would take a few months to do every stage, but any player can come in and be like, oh, this is the team that Nub used. Oh, this is the team that YST used. Oh, they used different stuff. What do I have? Why did they use those things? What were the challenges they faced? And it will just help players to know. And just key things as well, like what are the key enemies? Like Jingwan is absolutely monstrous when you fight him.
Oh my gosh,
On stage 9 and above, like key enemies to watch out for and why and how they're going to mess you up.
Right. Yeah, nice. That's really cool. Really cool. So again, like if anyone's struggling with a level on Faction Wars, you can come and read how YST and Nubs beat the level. They've actually gone in, done it with their teams, and then they've kind of like called out the different champions that have been used and any kind of like key parts to their builds, which was I think really beneficial. I'm finding, in game, they've actually got a pretty good resource now to, I don't know if you guys use this a lot, but I find myself now using, let's say we go on here, I'm like, oh, okay, we need perfect veil. So I use the in-game filter a ton now.
All the time.
All the time.
Whereas I don't think this existed until very recently, did it? But, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Then you still need to deep dive and say, well, actually, do they properly fulfill what we want them to do? Because perfect veil doesn't mean I'm going to get all of this stuff. So being able to sort of understand, well, what did you guys do and how did you get through it is going to be a nice extra layer, I think, on top of that. Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about something else which has been creating waves in the community, certainly on social media. We've got new infographics going out. I've had plenty of DMs of people saying, how do we find them? Like, what's going on with these? And I guess eventually they will be added to the actual champion pages as a kind of resource on top of what's already there. But for now, the easiest way I'm finding to go and see the ones that have been done is go into the article section on the website and then search for Spotlight. And pretty much any of the new big legendaries that have come out, or mythicals, I guess, that people have got a decent amount of access to, like a fusion or a free champion or a farmable type of mythical or something like that. That's where these kind of like infographics have been created so far. So I guess let's pick up Lydia. You go into the article about her Spotlight, which gives you a bunch of information about Lydia and where she's best to be used and why she's so badass. And then these are going out on socials right now to try and help people just have a snapshot. If you don't want to go into the full in-depth champion page, which has now got tons of information on because this game's really deep. Again, Nubs. I see created by Nubs, and I know Anchor on the team in terms of a dev has been doing great work on these. But talk us through, I guess, the aim and what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, there's honestly with these faction war pages and stuff, like it's not just the two of us. Like there's so many people. Like there's probably about 7 different people involved, if not more, for the faction war stuff. Like back end development, lots of feedback, design work, etc. Same thing with this. But like Anka has been creating the visuals for this. There's again lots of feedback from all of the entire team in terms of what info we wanted here and how to display it. But the key idea is simple, that it's that quick reference thing. How do I build Lydia? Oh, quick glance at this. I see some of the best gear sets and relics and blessings, some of the stats to aim for, and I can just have a really quick reference to know. And then if you want, like I said, more details on why you're picking things, what are good alternatives if you don't have those things, like that's all where the detailed champion pages or champion spotlights come into play as well. It's very cool. It's kind of self-explanatory. Really
great feedback on these. Like on socials, people are loving these. And literally, like, when are we? And this always then becomes the next question: when are we going to get one for every champion in the game? And
it takes a lot of work to make them.
Guys, there's 1,000 champions in the game. Like we're really try.
It's crazy. I think will we start with the commons? Maybe that would make sense, right? We start with those.
I remember back in the day, like before hellhades.com existed, and I just had a Google Sheet spreadsheet where I updated stats, rating, sorry, like out of 5. And it started with, I'll just do it for Demon Lord and, some of the dungeons. and then it expanded. I was like, oh, this is getting quite tough now. There's so many to keep up to date. I think back then there was maybe like 400 champs. There was probably, I don't know, like 7 main areas to rate.
Yeah.
Now, if we look at a champion page, I mean,
oh, it's wild.
It's so much in this game now. So I guess YST, I know we've had some changes here on the champion pages as well. Talk us through some of the sort of main changes.
So main changes here. So we've now got Chimera Trials in the game and also Cintrano's hard stages. So it's basically all about how many things can they enable or how many times did they pop up throughout these areas. That's just something we thought would be really cool to add to the site. We've also got a Chimera ratings as well. That will be obviously a lot higher on some better champions than a law for Chimera.
Yeah.
But yeah, just overall, just trying to keep up to date with these newer content areas and yeah.
And with so Chimera, obviously that was added a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And then Waves is now, because we used to have this just said basically Doom Tower, which we meant Doom Tower waves of enemies rather than the bosses.
Yeah.
But I guess explain what Waves basically covers.
So Waves is basically how well can you take on a wave, pretty much. Like there's still ways we're trying to figure out of, does that include crowd control? Does that include how hard do you hit? And just trying to figure that out. And then we will have like another big re-rating to rate every champion in the game for waves, because we're actually thinking of having waves and protection as 2 subcategories.
2 separate things.
For waves, yeah. So that's probably another big, I guess, thing we're going to do down the line, rating every champion in the game for those.
Yeah. And then one other thing which has been asked for, which is not yet done, is kind of like a relic rating per champion on the champion pages. So I think short term, and actually one thing that we will definitely keep up to date, because I think it's probably more valuable than what that would do, but we do now have the relic tier list in, which I think Nubs, you created this one.
Yeah.
In the majority. So I guess firstly, I don't know, what do you think actually? Do you think we should have a breakdown per champion page of multiple relics that would be good? Or would actually you advise this is a better place to come just because it's more relevant to what you own?
Yeah, I think both, really. Like, it is tricky. How detailed do you go on the relic recommendations for champions? So I don't know.
Because the reality is every relic recommended is going to be mythical if you could do it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, but no one's got any mythical, so
like that's the issue. Like, I mean, for the stuff I've done for the infographics, I think typically I'm giving maybe 4 relic recommendations. I try to mix the rarities a bit, though it does, again, as you said, it does trend towards the better ones. It's just how it works. And the idea is that, you get a sense for the type of relics that are good for the champion, and obviously in the champion spotlight it directly explains why they are good for the champion, and then if you don't have any of those, at least you'll be able to work out a good concept for, this is the type of relic I want, and then you could look at the tier list and go like, why I don't have any of those ones recommended for Lydia, but actually I'm struggling to keep her alive and I have an aspect of Siroth, that legendary relic, and that's rated pretty highly. Cool, I'll go for that one. That makes sense, I can do that. And yeah, what I'll be doing is putting in a change log. Like we've got 8 new relics to rate from the new event. So they'll go in, and as relics move up and down the tiers, like if there's any balancing or we discover new stuff, like there's a couple of changes that need to happen to this already. Stuff will tweak a bit. Like they sort of unnerfed aspect of Siroth for Rotus, which is a small thing. Obviously the Arachne Elixir is a rare relic at the top of S tier. That thing is crazy right now. Like I think one thing we thought that the Collective, which is actually an S tier at the moment, we thought that didn't rip off protected buffs, but now I've heard that it does. So that's on my to-do list. It's been a busy couple of weeks, right?
Well, this is it. Like, people don't appreciate how much more information we're having to deal with now. Like, we always got a big flow of champions, right? That's been Raid Sting, but this big flow of relics is kind of the same as champions in terms of, how detailed, I guess, or how big a difference they make to builds. We're seeing with the new event dungeon, one relic, which actually, where is it rated on here? Where's the one that heals you? This one. It's a B tier right now.
Go up, yeah.
It's literally God tier for the new event dungeon if you want to beat the higher levels. But yeah, there's stuff like that which comes out. So you're almost like constantly trying to re-evolve what's going on. And I guess I'm even thinking it through compared to what we've just done with the faction war stuff. And this type of layout kind of works, not the exact same headers, but for relics, it's like, well, which ones are the damage relics, which ones are the support relics? Having that kind of like breakdown per role is also quite interesting. So yeah, like I guess learning from some of the new cool stuff that we're doing to re-implement it into some of the stuff we already had is, I think, pretty helpful as well.
Cool. That might be a fun thing to put in. All right, we'll see. Especially because they apparently intend to add a lot of relics. Like they're constantly adding them.
It's like constantly 8 per patch, isn't it? At the moment, it's just
So splitting this up might be a good idea. It's definitely something to look into. And yeah, like you said, when I go in and we boost up like golden elixir and like I said, there's a few to move up and down. Something that I think would be fun would be that changelog section and breaking down why some of these ratings are changing and what has changed, so that again, just helping players understand, be like, oh, okay, yeah, this golden elixir is now like really, really strong for soloing stuff like this event dungeon, which is really tough. Oh, okay, I really understand why this is good and who I'd want to put it on. It's just trying to give information to players to help them understand why and to make decisions. And as you said, it's a crazy complicated game. So just to understand what's actually going on in it, that's the goal.
Yeah, I saw a screenshot the other day. I'm going to do a showcase of this guy's Hydra team. He had a Trunder with over 10,000 attack and over 500% crit damage. And you're just I'm like,
oh my gosh,
that's almost 50% more on both of those stats than my Trunder. Just like
that is crazy.
And I've played this game nonstop for 6 years. Like, it is crazy how much of a difference all of this stuff makes if you get the top tier like elements of it. So so I guess a couple of other changes that are due rules. Oh, in fact, one change that happened literally yesterday was mythical re-rating. So I guess part of this was actually I pulled Toshiro.
It was me and Nubs actually seen your video and we was like, hold up a second, why is Toshiro like a 4 or something?
Yeah, and when I was looking, I was like,
there we go, he's a 5 now.
I expected to see him higher.
You're right. So that inspired, and I pulled nice as well. And again, I looked at the nice ratings and was like, oh no, these aren't right at all. So we did a big mythical sweep after that big 2x weekend.
I guess it's just
it was
knowledge.
Funny because I messaged Nubs. I was like, oh, let's just do a quick half an hour session of re-rating all the champions, right?
Like 4 hours.
But I kind of forgot, like, obviously we have to rate every area for 2 forms for like 30 areas. So it's like, you're there for hours. I was like,
definitely.
But it was obviously something that people have been bringing up, like, oh, this guy's better than this. So hopefully people can see how good their mythicals are now.
What's really hard as well, I think, now is because, basically mythicals have become the new void legendary in terms of quality in the game. And because of that, every tier has almost jumped down a level, Epics are basically the new rares, albeit there's a lot of good epics, but they basically like jump down a level. Normal legendaries, it's like, well, unless they're the god tier ones, they're basically the next level down. So, when we're doing these ratings, the aim is for someone who is new to, I guess, towards late mid game, I would say, is to come in and be able to just say, okay, is this champion actually any good? Like, is this champion going to help me anywhere? And then once they've understood this, it's like, well, if they are good, or I feel like I do want to build them out, where can they help me in the game? Like, that's the main idea. But what's challenging is when you got a mythical that comes out like a Toshiro here, who absolutely blows up Hydra and Chimera, and he's 5-star. If you then look at the next level down of champ, really, they should be like 4-star, right? But but you still have to put people at 5-star that are decent in the game, because otherwise it's hard for the person who doesn't have really much knowledge at all to know where they sit. So we could go way more complex, right? We could be like, oh, this is out of 1,000, and there's way more depth into that. But I think we're trying to strike that balance of the more casual player can still get a really good snapshot of this, and then the really end game player probably already knows a lot of the information already and is more using this for stuff like being able to hover over the damage ratings and be like, okay, what sort of hit rate can these guys do in detail? You know, so we've got that like next level of detail for those kind of like real end game players. You know, how often are they used in PvP battles? And you know, you've got like the full kind of like detailed breakdown. But yeah, it's actually really tough.
I have that battle every day, man, trying to, you know, we got like the mythicals, the legendaries, and if this guy's a 4.5, how can he be a 4.5? He does it better. It's just, it's literally the hardest thing, like trying to keep everything as accurate as possible. Obviously, just at the end of the day, it comes down to
one thing actually, Hades, touching what you were talking about there, it was like I was doing for Creodon, like Creodon the Blue, Sylvan Watcher's epic, and I love him. He's so unbelievably good. But I was like, for rating him on the tier list for control, you know, when you have champions like Armans or you've got Commodus base form and stuff like that, I'm like, that's the 5-star. I was like, I can't really put Creodon at a 5-star on the tier list, but I love him so much. And that's one of those examples where it's like, couldn't recommend this epic more, but you know, you can't really
next step up. If you've got the champion, there's a next step up, right? And it's
exactly.
Most people probably don't. That's the thing. Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, hopefully people can still look at the tier and be like, oh, well, he's not SS tier, but he's S tier. Like that's still incredibly good. Like A tier champions as well. Like okay, they're not S or SS, but they can still absolutely do the job pretty well. I wouldn't recommend like C tier champions much, but you know,
unless you want the pit Kerr again, you don't want it.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. We had the uncommon pit Kerr. Congrats to anyone who knows what he does, but it must have been a typo when we were filling in the spreadsheet. But he was rated like S tier or something. He was like a 5-turn.
I bet people will be looking at that like, hello, what's going on there?
I was like, what's happening there? Who is this champion? What happened?
I wanted to show just quickly as well. What's my best way to navigate here? I know Anchor, again, in the kind of like front end dev, has done a lot of work just tidying up some of the different kind of like, okay, what champions do different skills and making it visually better and easier to understand. So this is big shout out to Anchor and the work she's doing, just trying to improve the general feel of the site and that type of stuff. Also, I know something which is coming real soon based on the event dungeon. Again, perhaps Nubs, you want us to talk through what we're seeing here?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, this was something I've been trying to do, and there's going to be way more on this. Like, there's already a new cool team. We were talking about it before the video, like for stage 30 and stuff. There's even new teams now that are better. So there's going to be even more updates. But the idea was to just give people like a day one some team ideas for the event dungeon. And again, I need to write an article today before I leave. It's going to be a hectic day before I go, breaking down like why I use these champions and what builds were used and who you could replace them with and such, because there's lots of replacements. But it's just like some starter team ideas. And depending on how this does, we could potentially be doing this more in the future. So like one thing I'd love to do would be to come back to the event dungeon and let's take like stage 20 in maybe a week or two and go into the optimizer and get like, who are the most used epics for stage 20? What's like the most popular sort of team, and just like filter through it and again try to present people with a bunch of like just a quick reference like, oh cool, you know, I don't have to go through the optimizer and look at this stuff myself, and you know, like basically the Hell Hades guys, we're gonna do it for you, like, you know, we're gonna pop out this info so you can have a quick look and be like, oh, I didn't think of using Farrak and the Fat. Okay, cool, that's great, I got you.
I love this throwback to a Blender team here. This is super cool, actually.
Yeah. That was a fun team. I can briefly talk it through for people. The idea was just you kill the minions as fast as possible, and then when the boss swaps over and she does the True Fear and is trying to kill you, Doom Priest then is cleansing off that True Fear, and you sort of keep going. And Sinesha and Skullcrown dies but comes back to life with her passive. It's kind of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, but the idea for that for me was it's quite difficult, I find, to make guides for lower level stages because, you know, I can take off gear and stuff, but it's still really hard to replicate like a newer player. So I said, hey, if I just do this with all epics and I don't give them particularly good stuff for my account, it's like people can come in and you can just use legendaries that are better and whatever, you know, because people do have legendary. Like use your Wukong, right? Wukong is insane for this dungeon. It's just the idea is to give you, it's just an example team. Obviously the stage 25 one is more specific and the stage 30 is ridiculously specific. And that's not a 100% team unless you got absolutely
It's crazy that is not a 100% team, though, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
it's
insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there are going to be some 100% teams, though. It looks like, and I'll do a full guide on that as well. Bronco basically has come up with one. But it's not easy. Cool, we'll put it like that. It's certainly not easy, but yeah.
Yeah, I actually, I don't know if I already said this. I saw a Bronco video and I was like, oh, I've got a great idea for this. And then, yeah, by the time, so yesterday I was in London for the whole day, and then I went to start recording this morning. I was looking on YouTube. I was like, oh no, he's already done the exact team that I was going to do. So yeah, and it's out. So yeah. Anyway, such is life. Such is life. Well, look, guys, thank you so much.
Sorry. I didn't want to cut into your outro. There's just one more thing I just wanted to touch on before.
Go on.
In relation. So if we just go back onto the article page, to the one that I mentioned earlier, the Bannerlords section.
Just
the main articles and the...
Oh yeah. Sorry, I remember now.
It's just a series that I'm doing, and people may be interested in this. Ooh, so the idea for this one is basically these are all MVP epics for hard faction wars, and basically ones that can enable certain requirements throughout the rooms, for example. And yeah, just giving a guide on the MVPs, top 4, and then also honorable mentions of, they can probably beat a specific stage. And then I'm going to do that for every single faction, and then move into the different rarities afterwards as well. So if you guys do want to
deep dive in why they're the MVPs. So I guess the infographics are, here's like a top line view of how good someone is, but this page is actually more about deep dive on why.
Yeah, why they're good and what stages they're good at and what 3-star requirements can they enable, and just trying to do that for every faction in the game. Yeah.
And actually, because articles, once people understand what to search for, then this page becomes insanely strong. So Ultimate Epics will get you to this series, basically. And this is... so you've done one faction now, but obviously there's going to be
we got loads ready to come out. Yeah, it's going to come out every few days. There'll be a whole new faction one, Yeah,
nice. Awesome. So much.
It was a
new
lot.
Stuff. This is half an hour of new stuff that's been going on the website, which is crazy, honestly. And we haven't even touched on all the changes that have happened in the optimizer, but that's going to be a different video. Yeah, guys, thanks for coming on and sharing, and thanks for all the valiant work you do for this community to try and make this game easier to play. I guess, any final words, guys?
I mean, for me, I don't know. Just cheers. Let us know. Give us feedback in terms of the new stuff and what you like about it. Do you want to see more? I like the Relic stuff. That was really cool feedback to get as well. Split them up. Anything like that, it's actually very welcome. And yeah, we'll keep trying to make it even better.
Cool. Well, I will link to both Nubs and YST down below. I'm sure you already know their channels, but go and sub to them if you haven't already. And yeah, we will see you real soon.